We finally have Brian Gerrish on. Brian, good afternoon.
Yes, hello. Many apologies.
Oh, you're more than welcome, Brian. You've made it in before the end of the show. Thank you. I'm glad to hear you here, Brian. I assume that you've had a few problems. Right, okay. Brian, I haven't covered the baby issue apart from simply to say that I was going to cover it, simply because I didn't feel that without you I was necessarily as well versed of the topic. But now that we've got people on, first of all, I'd like to introduce you. Obviously, this is Brian Gerrish of the UK Column newspaper. We had him on last week about the events at Birkenhead from the previous Monday. Brian, you're a researcher into the machinations of a group called Common Purpose. Maybe you'd like to start just with a little piece about Common Purpose and what you've found with them.
Yes, I can certainly do that. Just
to elaborate, we believe that this is possibly the other issue is possibly Common Purpose related. Would that be too much of an extrapolation?
Yeah, that's too much. The other thing is that I shouldn't be mentioning the baby by name.
Okay.
So I will just refer to him as the 13-week-old South Wales baby.
Okay, because we now have injunctions flying left, right and centre about this case, don't we? I know the TPUC was brought down on threat of an injunction on Friday due to it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they had to remove the thread about it before the server would allow them to go back on stream.
Oh, well, you know stuff I don't, but...
I have the connections, Brian.
That's absolutely ideal, because I can explain why they're so panicky.
Yeah, good. That's what I hoped. Okay, well, sorry, back to Common Purpose.
Yeah.
If I might explain, during the week on Friday, the server owner was contacted by somebody he wasn't prepared to give the name of, with a threat of injunction, which basically forced the admin of the TPUC to take down the TPUC forum, that a thread that... sorry, what was his name, Alona? The guy who started the 13-week-old baby thread?
Okay, I'm back.
Yeah, okay, Brian. Dave Scott Free's thread had to be removed, which I'd added some information that you'd given me during the week to. And that was the post that was causing the issues that the server owner was being troubled with. Anyway, sorry, Brian, back to Common Purpose.
Yeah, sorry, we're live at the moment? Or?
Yes, we are, sir.
Oh, right, okay. Well, the key thing about Common Purpose is that you have a charity which is operating politically, and it is recruiting its new leaders of society across the whole spectrum. So it's operating with politicians, it's operating in the civil service, local authorities, particularly chief executives. It is in a lot of small quangos, and when you try and pin down what these people are doing, they're saying that they are all working to a common theme, which is to change society. Now, this is where it gets interesting, because if you try to pin down what they're actually changing society to, you don't get much detail. And if you start asking questions about how they are funding themselves, not only do people refuse to give you the information, even if you've done it formally through a Freedom of Information request, but local authorities in particular are informing Common Purpose that people are asking questions about them. Now, when they do this, the local authorities are breaching data protection, because they shouldn't be revealing any details about people making Freedom of Information requests. And this has been challenged by certain individuals with the Information Commissioner's Office, and indeed, where it concerns money, with the Audit Commission. But what you then find is that Common Purpose has its members in those organisations, and the questions or complaints get closed down. So we have a very devious charity which is absolutely political in everything it's doing, and the thing which was revealed by the UK column in the last few weeks is the fact that Common Purpose was using inside influence in order to win contracts, to reframe, to change the social and political beliefs of the top 200 civil servants. And in the last edition, or the latest edition of the UK column, we actually printed minutes of a cabinet leadership meeting in which we demonstrated that when we'd originally asked for information, the Cabinet Office had edited the minutes in order to try and protect Common Purpose. And what they did is they edited out the fact that one of the Common Purpose trustees, David Bell, had been participating in debate over award of a contract to Common Purpose. So this is absolutely rotten dealing, but it's being done at the heart of the Cabinet Office. I mean, I can go on. If people visit cpexposed.com, which is my website, it's a database of documents where they can see the amount of public money that's being spent on this political charity. And the charity is effectively, it is using applied psychology to change people's beliefs. It's dangerous, in my opinion.
I would tend to agree, Brian. Okay, and we don't want to draw too many direct inferences between the actions of Common Purpose and the events this week in Swansea, but certainly suffice to say that their behaviour in training members of social services, the police forces, the ambulance staff, just about anybody that we would rely on for our protection, with techniques such as NLP training, would be worrying if it were made entirely public.
Well, I think a lot of people would be desperately concerned if they could see the full picture. But I'll make a distinction here. Common Purpose is particularly dangerous because it operates as a network. So it's a bit like network marketing. You get people, you train them, and they then help recruit other people into the organisation. So you've got people who are not only have not only been affected by behavioural change, applied psychology to change their behaviour, they are then used to network amongst other so-called leaders in order to draw more people into the system. And once they're buried into an organisation, the Common Purpose people, I'm going to say in a way it works like a sort of Masonic system, because these people can identify each other, but we won't know who they are necessarily. And then they collaborate in order to get their political agenda through. But Common Purpose is recruiting people within its own organisation. On top of that, we are now seeing that behavioural change, applied psychology units have been set up in every single public sector. So whether it's NHS or the police, or education, or the Department of Work and Pensions, or the Cabinet Office, or the MOD, the government has set up these units, and their task is to change the behaviour of the employees of those organisations by using a variety of applied psychology techniques.
Well, our local authority openly announces its NLP training sessions for its staff members.
Yeah, and what I'm going to say, ordinary or people who haven't yet done the research for themselves, when you start researching, of course, you can find that many methods of applied psychology can be used for good purposes. They can be used to help people who are stressed or depressed. There is no doubt about that. But what we are seeing is very, very sophisticated applied psychology techniques being used in order to help force through a political agenda. And the thing which is scary, I'm going to use that word, is that in the government's own documentation, and again we've quoted from some of their documents in the latest UK column, they are saying that people will not realise that their behaviour has been changed. Or if they do realise, that they're thinking and behaving in a different way, they will not know how they've been changed. Now, in America, if we go back 10 years, when some of these techniques, and particularly neuro-linguistic programming techniques, were being used, several people started to take cases to court because the techniques had been used on them without their knowledge and permission, and that effectively was assault. If you take it to an extreme, if you have somebody who is very powerful in their ability to manipulate somebody's mind, I'll give a crude example. A man meets a lady in a bar. He has the ability, just by conversation, to apply these techniques on the woman in order to get her into bed. Now, unless she is aware of what's being done to her by the use of these psychological techniques, she won't know, but what the man is actually doing is assault upon her. And what we are now seeing is that our own elected politicians, and believe me, when we get to the likes of Cameron and Clegg and Maud Miliband, Mandelson, they know what is actually being done, and it is unbelievably dangerous, because people who have personality problems anyway, or susceptibility to personality problems, can be tipped over the edge by these techniques. So it's not just common purpose, that is a double dose, because they are playing around with people's minds and recruiting them into an organisation. We're also seeing this raw stuff used. We have got the documentary proof of it being used in the NHS and in the police, and we know for a fact that it is being used within the social services training system, and that is why so many of the mums and dads who are being victimised by child services and social services are repeatedly saying that they are meeting individuals who seem to have they don't have any normal human warmth or sympathy or empathy. You're dealing with a man or a woman who is totally blank and cold, particularly when it comes to the dealing with the children's needs. Mm-hmm. And this is a very, very dangerous thing, because we know full well that when the Nazi regime started,